I've made one video, it's only a short one of course, but everybody seemed to like it a lot, so I thought I'd make another one. Last one was a bit only really for Facebook, so it's very short. This one I can actually talk about the book a little bit more as it's going to go on YouTube. But these videos will be just me sitting at the desk, talking to the camera, no editing, no greater special effects, just me chatting to you guys. So hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, as they say, we'll get to talking about these two awesome little books. Now, as many of you will know, the Left with Stuart series has been around for a couple of years now. It's a spin-off series based around the legend that is Brigadier Left with Stuart, Doctor Who spin-off for those who don't know. And with each book we have a habit of giving out 3 short stories available in digital format for download for those who pre-order the books. What we decided to do early this year, and kind of always planned to do, but we just waited for the right time, was to release all these digital shorts in paperback format. We did it in a limited edition just to make it a bit more fun, and that was the HAVOC Files, book 1, which included loads of short stories released throughout last year and early this year, with one new short story called The Unfolded Time by me, which was my attempt at solving the great big mystery that is unit dating. And apparently I've done it. Well, so they tell me. I figured, you know, everybody tries to solve unit dating. They always ignore certain elements. But in my opinion, the solution is fairly straightforward. It cannot fit together. So, and that is the solution. Obviously you need to read the book to find out what it is. Unfortunately, it's no longer available. However, we have made it available on Kindle, so you can download it and read the digital format, so at least you get to read it a little bit, even if you don't get to hold it and smell it, because frankly you've got to love these books, right? Anyway, so that was the first one. Second one has just been released finally today. It goes out, starts shipping tomorrow, which means everybody will start receiving it over the course of next week. Tomorrow being Thursday the 20th of October. I really forgot what month it was then. Once again, it contains short stories released throughout the latter half of this year, including such wonderful tales as In His Kiss, The Black Eggs of Khufu, The Band of Evil, The Playing Dead, and The Lock-In. It also includes Shandageist's First Love, which is some deleted material from the Showstoppers, which was a very huge success, and unfortunately I didn't feel that these scenes really fit the book because they delved too much into Shandageist's past, which, although fun, kind of detracted from the pacing of the book itself. So we stuck it in the short story collection so you can still get the background on this absolute nutter. Also included, we've got a little tiny piece from John Peel, which is, or was, the original prologue for the Grandfather Infestation, now called Exodus from Venus. It's only a very short vignette, but does show you a little bit about what happened before the Grandfathers and the Emir arrived on Earth. We also included, because you know we like to give you bonus material and give you reason to pick up these books, is a couple of new short stories. One, House of Giants, which is by Rick Cross, whose first novel is released later this month, which is basically episode 4 of Planet of Giants, which is of course a First Doctor serial from 1965, no, 64, tell a lie. And this follows on literally straight after, with Left with Stuart and his gang investigating what happened in that story, and of course that's the central image on this wonderful cover by Adrian Salmon. There's also a first of 4 episodes, maybe 3, of a novella which I started writing some while back called The Lost Skin, and since I've not finished it yet, I figured let's actually split it into a few parts and release episode by episode over the course of the next few HAVOC files. So you get a nice cliffhanger in your traditional Doctor Who way. This story is set concurrently with Rick's Time Squared, again as I said, out later this month. And while the Brigadier and his fiancée and nephew is in New York dealing with Yeti and the Great Intelligence, this short story focuses on Chorley, Anne Travers, Samson, Bishop, and also brings back Charlie Redfern from Sadie Miller's Moonblink and Larry Green from last year's Schizoid Earth. And of course takes us to John O'Groats for lots of crazy shenanigans. Oh, and it brings back Professor Travers, who we haven't seen for a while, and this will explain maybe why. But most importantly, for me at least, it also contains Ashes of the Inferno, which was not a story I planned on writing, but it's just one that kind of ran through my head literally a couple of months ago. And here's the story of why. Now, from a Doctor Who point of view, it is the sequel, again, kind of like the next part of the story after Inferno from 1970, which therefore is obviously set within the Unit era, although of course we don't mention Unit by name because copyright. But we do, well, I do, find a way to tie in the Unit era and thus the Brigadier's life then with our series, and we'll show you guys how what's going on with our characters pre-invasion or pre-Unit connects to how Unit becomes, and how, you know, it actually is all part of one big story. But more importantly, the reason I wrote this is quite simple. A few months ago, I met this chap a few months ago. Let me, you know, it's been a while and my head's a bit tired because it's late at night. So yeah, back in late June, when I was working in a coffee shop, I met this young man who's only 16 called Reese Rubery. Wonderful chap, very head screwed on, just finished exams, very focused, knew where he was going with his life. And, you know, as I say, he's 16, and it was amazing to see that kind of focus from somebody so young. Anyway, he joined work. We connected very quickly. Lots of banter, to use a word that he associated with me very rapidly. And we had a lot of fun. And he added me on Facebook fairly early on and learned that I apparently loved Doctor Who. Turns out he loved Doctor Who. I mean, he made me look like I didn't know nothing. And we spent hours and hours and hours and hours talking about Doctor Who for the longest time. And it was quite fun. Unfortunately, in July, on it was a Tuesday, I believe, he was out with some mates from what I can work out and was involved in a motorcycle accident. From what I can work out, he's basically run over by a motorbike, and unfortunately the wound was so bad that he did not wake up the next day. So yeah, which, you know, I have to admit, it pretty much shook me up and everybody I worked with at the time, which was insane because, as I said, I've only known the guy for, I don't know, a month, just over a month. But to be hit so hard by somebody you've only known for such a short period of time pretty much says everything you know about that person. He was clearly a very amazing guy. Anyway, so after the funeral, I'm working out, you know, what can I do, you know, because to see such devastation wrought on a family was pretty insane. And, you know, I saw his father, I saw his mother and his sister and his family at the funeral, and I have never in my life seen any people so absolutely bereft as that. It was just painful to see. But I'm like, what can I do? Because, you know, what can you do? And it occurred to me that he is was a huge fan of Doctor Who, so I wanted to do something. And as I knew he was doing HAVOC Files 2, I decided there and then that I wanted to dedicate this book to him. Which, wonderful, obviously, but I wanted to do a bit more. So a short story came to my mind, a short story all about loss, dealing with grief, and the idea that, how do you deal with this? How do you process this insane part of your life being torn apart? And of course, anybody who's seen Inferno will know the end of it is very much about a whole world dying. And let's face it, when you lose somebody like that, a son, brother, whatever, it is like your entire world dies. So the metaphor was there for something that was seriously visceral for me, and indeed for them. So I wrote this short story exploring that a little bit through some of our main characters. And I asked their parents, Reese's parents, if I could put Reese in as a cameo. They said yes. So I put Reese in, using a few of his wonderful catchphrases and perceptions of the world. And so Ashes of Inferno became a dedication to him. Yeah, so that's why this story is important to me. That's why this book is important to me. As I say, we have sold out now, more or less. It was only for pre-order. However, as it stands, I know we have got few copies left over, so we won't be necessarily turning it off from being available for a little while until we basically sold out of what we've got. However, once we've sold out of what we printed, and a number of which I'm not telling you, that'll be it. It will never be printed again. No doubt at some point we'll release it on Kindle. But if you want to get this book, if you want to help spread the word of Reese, and I really would love you to do that, then please pop to the Candy Jar website. I'll put a link below, because apparently you can do this, and order it while we still got some left. And hopefully you enjoy what I've written, and indeed what all the other people have written, and hopefully you'll get something more from it, knowing a bit about what it's about. So yeah, hope you enjoyed my first video. I know it got a bit serious and not high on the chuckles, but sometimes life is quite serious and it's not easy. But fiction helps. You can escape, you can learn things about yourself, learn things about others, and explore stuff that in the real world is sometimes just too damn painful. So please try and get a copy of it while you can, and spread the word of Reese and let people know about this young man. So until the next video, which will probably be late night again, I say see you later.